And with me now is emergency room physician Dr. Joe Vipond. Dr. Vipond, good morning to you. So let's begin with getting your take on what we're seeing now in Alberta schools. Over 700 in some sort of alert status. This is just crazy.
Well, it's crazy, but it's not really a surprise. Let's be honest. When they opened up for schools on September 1st, we had virtually no protection for kids. And I've been actually saying for a couple of months now that it's like they intentionally want the children to get sick. It's this fear that they're aiming for herd immunity through the kids. But let's look at it. Like, they had no masking rules at all in place. There was no reporting from AHS to the schools if there were any positives, and no reporting from the schools to parents if there were positives. And even if there were multiple positives, no action would be taken. Even now, we're having these outbreaks that are being announced. But what does that mean? Until yesterday, we didn't have any plan in place to deal with these outbreaks. And then yesterday they put in place that if there are 3 positives in a classroom, then that classroom moves online. So really zero protection for the kids. And it's hard to imagine that this is just true incompetence. It seems intentional that they wanted this to rip through the children.
So what about then the new measures that the province did introduce? How is that going to slow down transmission?
Well, it's a start, but in my mind, we have such high transmission rates, especially in that 5 to 11 range, with kids that are in school that can't be vaccinated. Why are we not just putting the kids online for 2 or 3 weeks while we solve this, while we do ventilation assessments, while we get the numbers down so that when they go back into school, there's not that high level of transmission? About 50% of kids that get COVID are asymptomatic. So if you've stopped asymptomatic testing like Alberta has, you're still going to have this ripping through the population because nobody knows that it's there.
I also wanted to get your take on some alarming information coming to light, and that is around the high number of readmissions. Not only are people going to the hospital, they're coming back with recurring symptoms.
Yeah, this isn't really new information. We've known this for a long time. This is new in that we're taking the information, applying it, looking at Alberta's situation. But we've known that long COVID exists. We know that about readmission rates and revisits to emerge for over a year now. So this is not surprising. It's just, oh my gosh, now it's happening in Alberta. And this is kind of a recurrent thing that we're seeing in our provinces, not being able to look to other areas and apply the information that we're learning in other jurisdictions to our own location. So we've underplayed long COVID for pretty much the duration of the pandemic in this province.
And it just adds to the stress and pressure at the hospital that people are needing to come back.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much a volume thing because, you know, this isn't the majority of our COVID admissions or our hospital admissions. This is just super sad that this government has essentially allowed the 4th wave to run rampant. And there's all these people that are getting COVID and perhaps not dying from it, but having to deal with this long-term disability known as long COVID. And that includes children. You know, this kind of effort that we've seen from the government to create herd immunity is creating so much suffering and pain for our province and
Meantime,
for the citizens.
Do you know, Dr. Vipond, if vaccination rates have ticked any higher in the past few weeks?
They have, and that's good. You know, the government likes to claim it was a suite of things that made it happen, including their $100 bonus. But really, the uptick happened when the vaccine passport, that can't be called a vaccine passport, was introduced a couple weeks ago, and that's when we really saw things go up.
Dr. Vipond, thank you so much. Dr. Joe Vipond is an emergency room physician in Alberta.